Hello, this is Ellen Mongan from Wow Mom. Look, today I have a sign. It says like this: Wow Mom. We're Wow Moms because we have women. We are women of wisdom. And how do you gain wisdom? By walking through the fire. You know, when you have a little baby, they're brand new babies. They don't have a lot of wisdom, but as they get older, they learn to do a lot of skills. It's they learn to do skills and walk through some fire in their life that they mature, and also they become, well, they become adults. But women of wisdom stands for women that are like the Titus 2 women that have learned some skills along the way. So today we have a special guest, but before I introduce her, I'm going to say my name is Ellen Mongan, your host, and here is my co-host, Jan Bonbrake. Jan, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good morning. It's been a trip, that's for sure. Technology. I need to learn how to conquer this. I know it's good. I have my phone up to my face, but oh well, that's the way it's gonna roll.
It's like your microphone, Janice. Your microphone. No one knows. It looks just like a mic.
I know.
Like hello. One, two, three.
I'll
Jan,
just pretend.
how was your weekend? Mine was a little crazy. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was great. It was great. We spent the weekend at the lake with my mom and my dad, and my girls got to spend some time with them, and then my sister, who we're gonna have on the show today, which I'm super excited.
Yay, Jay!
And yeah, I'm really excited about this. This is gonna be great.
And,
this is really gonna help a lot of moms and even a lot of just people who listen to this. This is really gonna be very helpful.
Yes, I agree. And I was going to say that I spent the weekend, Deacon Pat spoke about the seeds, about the seed growing and the weeds. I know you heard the gospel. And,
Yeah.
in life, we meet a lot of interesting people. And we learn from each person. And we have, sometimes we meet people that we haven't met before, and our life changes forever. I'm a really believer, Jane Ann, in the word that one word can change your life. Like, one word said today or one sentence can change someone's life. Maybe they say to themselves, I've never heard that before. I've never thought that before. Or maybe they'll say, gee, I'm going to contact Jammie. And we're going to introduce her now without further ado because we really want to hear her story. And some stories are not like other stories. This one comes with the cross. Jesus had to carry a cross. And there's never a good time, just like there's never a good time for a car accident. There's never a good time for a cross to knock on your door. And we talked about that a little last week with hope. But this is a woman of wisdom and a woman of valor and one with resilience. Remember our word resilience, who has carried the cross. And so she's going to help some people in that area. So here she is. First, Jan, would you introduce her since you know her best? Next to her mother.
Yes, I'm so happy to introduce her. And let me just say this woman is a saint, because what she has walked through thus far has really it should be a light or a beacon of light shining to other people when you hear her story, basically when you hear her testimony. And it's beyond anything. And so anyway, I just want to say welcome, Jammie. We're so excited to have you. Thank you for coming on and just being here. And I don't know, this is my sister, and she's going to talk a lot about her book,
Hey, Jammie.
Gaining an Angel. Yeah, so anyway, we welcome you, and we need a whole show just to introduce her and to tell all that she's gone through, but she's going to take it away right now.
Okay, do you want to tell some of the things about yourself so they know who they're speaking or seeing?
Good morning. Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's the book. Yeah, I wrote the book. Yes, there's a story that goes with the book. We all have a story, am I right? Everyone has a story.
That's
Everyone has their own path to walk. Everybody has their own journey, and mine has been it's been difficult, but also so much love and grace and uplifting to go along with it. 6 years ago, my 17-year-old daughter died of an accidental overdose of opioids, and taken away way too soon. 17 years old, beautiful. She was vibrant. She was 4.0 student. She was an accomplished equestrian, and it's just a phone call that a mother never ever thinks they're going to get. And I happened to be out of town with my oldest daughter, who was in college, And my husband at the time was home with our other children. That's 3 beautiful angels. And he called and said, Helen's dead. I mean, it was just like, that's exactly how he said it on the phone. Just, Helen's dead. And I literally threw the phone as hard as I could, smashed it into a million pieces up against the TV in our, where I was at the time. And every part of everything I ever knew about myself drained from my body at that moment. It was literally like everything inside me melted and I was empty. And that quick of just that phone call, my whole person I'd known myself to be up to that point was melted, gone. So, I can still remember it, literally sitting here to this day. And it just went black. It went cold. It was, you'll never, ever forget when I pray no one has that happen, but if there are mothers out there who've lost children, they understand what I'm saying. I went cold. I went numb. Everything went away. And from that day forward has been a journey to, live and not exist. I just, my whole thing is to get back to living. And you don't think you're going to be able to do it. You don't, as the days went on, as days passed, and my family coming into town and getting back home and just going through the motions and the visitation and the funeral and the picking out of the casket and the friends and the family and me feeling like I needed to entertain the whole entire world instead of, laying in a corner, which I wanted to do. And it's all, when I talk about it, I can get right back to the moment immediately.
That's right.
Because they're so impactful. And I'll have to say one of the biggest things that sticks out of my mind right now is I knew it was not fake. There was no other way. I was clinging to every ounce of I can't say scripture, but a really good priest friend, who is now Bishop Rice, but he's a family friend, he's a priest, and he came to our house the day Helen died, and he looked at my ex-husband and I and said, you do not try to understand or figure this out.
Right.
This is in God's hands. This is God's thing to figure out, and you have just do not try to extend all of your energy because you're not going to. There's no answers. There's no reason that a child should die before a parent. He was like, do not try to do this in your own understanding. And I literally remember every day, even on days when it's hard. I mean, it's 6 years, but it's still, I get sad. I'm carrying this cross daily, hourly, by the minute. And I cling 100% to what he said. And I'm like, oh my God, this is, you blessed her with us. You took her back. You have a reason. And I'm not going to argue that reason. Never once did I even go into that place of wanting to argue that reason with God, because I was like, I'm blessed that I was given this time with her. I mean, God blessed us with an angel. He knew he was going to take her back. So it's something that I still tell myself, pretty much every day. And my daughter Helen, just beautiful, beautiful soul. And she was precocious. She caused she was a lot. She was a handful on her. I mean, no doubt. Full 17-year-old, but she was just different always. We knew that from when she was younger, because she would even draw angels. She would draw them. She would say she saw angels, and she would draw them. And she was just a very unique person, and she touched literally every life. Anybody that knew her, that met her, she touched their lives in such a way. And I still see her work, even after her passing, from so many people that live out Helen. I see Helen in daily. And there's like a little gold thread I talk about of all of us that knew her and loved her. Little gold thread weaves through all of us and keeps us all connected. And she does beautiful works from heaven. She can do her job, whatever God intended her to do, much better from up there than she was doing it down here. And that's another thing that I really, really, I cling to and talk about, how you move, how you deal with it, how you live the day to day, how do you get up out of bed, that's your first thought. One of my children's not here. Still to this day, 6 years later, first thing I think when I wake in the morning is, yes, she's, it's a piece of me that's missing. It's just, and it will always be that way. There's a huge part of me that longs to see her, longs to hug her, and there's where again, goes back to my faith. And every day, for a long time, I went to the chapel, my most favorite chapel, St. Clement of Rome in St. Louis, where I grew up. Not where I grew up, my kids grew up. And I would sit and just sit in there because it was the only place that felt safe. Because at the beginning, because there were a lot of dark days, or a lot of first 2 years. And I knew if I was in a chapel that couldn't the darkness couldn't get me there. Like I was protected. I sat there. I would pray. Tears would roll out of my eyes. Sometimes I don't even know what I was thinking. And there would be other parishioners in there. Some knew me, some didn't. And I could literally feel all of them praying for me. I could feel their prayer. I could feel the strength of, I don't even know if they were praying exactly for me, but whatever that love, whatever the support in there, it's days upon days, and I would go and sit in there and just, because I knew if I was in there, then I was protected. I could do this. And those are parts of my journey. That's just the parts of it.
Jammie, I'll interrupt a minute. When I look in your Beyond the View, I see the three angels. I know representing your children, and I want you to know when we go through a trial, there are people praying for us that we haven't even met yet. I think of the song "Angels Watching Over Me, My Lord," and when you wake up, I bet you're thinking, "My angel, she's watching over me and she's praying for me." The prayers coming from the heavenlies are so much more powerful. As we in the Catholic faith, we have the prayers of the saints, but I do remember as you're speaking, because you look so much like Jane Ann, my co-host. Jane and I prayed for you through this, right, Jane? We stood in the gap. We stood in the gap, and you can't imagine what it's like, and put the wrong person, unless you're the one walking through it. Jane, remember us interceding? I was in Merritt Island, one of my many houses, and we prayed fervently. And you said your daddy was coming to pick you up. Remember the story?
Oh, yes.
Tell her the story,
yes.
How you're from your view, because honestly, you don't ever realize how many people you don't meet yet have been praying for you.
Well, I just know that I remember exactly where I was that day, and my mom had called me, like she was saying, you'll never, I was not where she was, but when my mom called me to tell me the news, and let me also add another thing is that Helen was my godchild. So that was my goddaughter. So when my mom called me, I had to keep asking like 3 times, "What did you say? What did you say?" Like 3 times, "What did you say? What did you say?" And then my mom basically was screaming into the phone. And she was like, "Have you heard?" And we heard from Kyle and which is now my sister's, which is Jamie's son-in-law. But I just remember standing there, and I was in a store actually, in the back of a store, and I was like, no. So anyway, I do remember receiving the news, and then I come home, I collect myself, and I get out of the store with my girls, and I come back, and then Jamie calls me, and we talk for just a moment, but I'm sure, everything that day, you're right, your mind is just reeling, and you're just trying to grasp the news. You're just trying to grasp. And so when you said at the beginning of the show, a word can mean something. It can be a life or death. You hearing it, So I don't know. I just remember that was how I received the news, and then we all began scurrying, and I was getting my household trying to get it organized, and it was very cold. It was in February, so here for Macon, Georgia, it was like an ice storm. I was like, so just trying to pack, and then I'm trying to think so that was more me, and then I just need to get to my sister. I need to see my mom. I need to see my dad, because I really didn't have the complete news. So anyway, and none of us did. So Jamie, tell us a little bit about what when we arrived at your house, and so what were your thoughts then when we arrived at your house in St. Louis? Because we flew from Georgia and Alabama to your house. So how was it then?
There are so many people at the house. Even at the time y'all showed up, like my house was already filled with people. And again, you know how I am. You know I'm a hostess.
Yep.
So, I mean, I didn't, maybe it was just like God was like, okay, you gotta put her in a comfortable place here so she can, gather the strength. So I was just like, I was so grateful everyone was there. I was just like, I cannot wait for my family to get here and have my sister. I remember saying that to you on the phone too. I mean, I can remember I was just like, Mom, I said to Mom, and I said to you, and Cam, I was like, y'all have, I'm screaming it, I think, y'all have to get here.
That's right.
It was an intense feeling, and I remember everybody coming, and I just remember, then there it started where it sticks out. Everyone's here but one. Like, Helen wasn't there.
Oh.
And I would tell myself, no, she's just downstairs. She'll come up. And for a long time I did that, but my family coming and everybody being around me was, that, and we're all very close family, and Helen was close with everyone, and all Jan's kids, all of our kids, all the cousins were super close. So, it was really a time of immense compassion and love. I mean, you could just feel the love and the closeness, and I was so grateful for the closeness of a big family like we have. And so, the word you had last week, hope, it's a word I use often. I've always hope. I mean, that's in the days and the years, hope is one of my big words all the time. So when you say the word like hope,
That's right.
that's definitely. And,
Jamie, I was going to ask you another question, because they don't know Jamie like you and Jane Ann do, and I want to know her as well. And I'm looking her up when I get to heaven. When you, like you said, when someone leaves, a part of your heart goes with them, but a part of their heart stays with you. It would tell the audience how important it is to remember the things they said, the things they do, either through journal, like we talked last week on hope, the shelf, the remembered shelf of remembering what God has done for you, but also remembering the people that we love so much, so their memory is left on. Like you said, the gold thread, I just love that every person that she touched, they have a story, just like you said, everyone has a story. Tell us some of the things that Jamie taught you or that remain in your heart.
Oh, Helen, oh gosh. Me too. What Helen taught me, gosh.
Oh, Helen, I'm sorry, what Helen taught you. Sorry, that's my fault.
Helen.
Oh, what happened?
We lost her.
No, we didn't. We're back. There she is. She is. Hello, Jamie. This show is going to be great, Jan. So, Jen, you step in for a minute. You want to step in for a minute?
Okay.
Let's see what happened.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
What did What did Helen teach you? I used the wrong word, is what threw her off. But what did Helen teach you?
Oh, Helen! Oh my gosh, she was so into it. Can we hear her?
We'll hear in a minute.
No, we can't hear you.
Right.
No, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I know we can't hear Jamie. She's asking me, can we hear her? And I said, no, we can't hear
All right.
her.
Well, you say what Helen taught you, and I'll try to get her on. Go on.
Okay. Well, Helen taught me that life is very full. She was very accomplished equestrian. Like Jamie said, she had a 4.0, and all my kids. She was always the one that kept my kids together. Like, we always did family things, and she kept us all together. So she would always, pretty much almost every day, I had our first four children were very close to Helen, and she would call them daily, Snapchat them. We went on vacations together, and Helen was always the instigator. I have to say, she was always the instigator. And even when we were all together, she would instigate things, but in a fun way. She was just so full of life. And her birthday is actually on St. Francis of Assisi.
Wow.
And she was an animal whisperer. Let me tell you something. This child could talk to animals. It was just, she had a connection.
Janet, tell Jammie to call.
We can't hear. Did you tell her we can't hear her?
No, I was gonna say, tell her to call like you're doing, and she's still on the video part, and I'll step in while you're waiting for her to call in to you on your phone. I don't know if she can do that though.
Okay, I'm gonna tell her.
Okay.
Tell her to call in.
Grief is such an unknown thing. You know, grief is something that people just want to go away. You know, someone's parents die or their children, and they want to just get really, really busy. They want to just like this grief. I just don't see it. I don't hear it. I don't speak it out of my mouth. I'm just gonna get through this grief. But grief is such an unknown. To be honest, it's a walk you do alone with God alone. That's where it says in Psalm 23, yea, though I walk the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. If you take the journey of grief, like Jammie said, alone with God in the church, quietly quieting your soul and coming forward and saying, Lord, I don't have this one. You know, we often in life, we have our hair together, a good hair day, we have our clothes, we put the smile on our face, but no one knows what's going on the inside but God alone. And Jammie's testimony is one to those people who have maybe not gotten rid of grief. It may not go away. It's like a bandage underneath this. Maybe a scar will form, but there's always a remembrance. You know, Pat and I have lost a son. Not the same as Jammie. Our son was a brand new baby, 2 hours old, full term. The nurses, of course, said we could count him as a tax write-off because he was 2 hours and not 1.5. There's no way that we could face the fact that this is okay. It's a hard thing to walk through, and as Jammie said, she actually was fine with the fact that she was fine with the fact that she could be there with God alone to get help. And I have a call in here. I'm going to try to get it later, and we thank you, Jammie or Jane Ann. Do you want to step in?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jammie.
I gotta do this.
Go on, Jammie. You're on. We were talking about
Okay.
grief being a journey, and that even if the bandage goes away, and if you take the bandage off a wound, you still have a scar. It doesn't just vanish. It doesn't. Grief is a journey you take with God alone, like you took in the church, and I'm just repeating for that sake. But so, you go on, continue.
Also, there's a scar, but the one thing is that the scar is also can remind you every day and keep you. It's a good reminder.
That's good. That's good.
I totally choose. There are definitely always two things. People always say, Jammie, you could have chosen to go down a dark path. You could be in the, we don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because not everyone, I didn't write about it in the book, but literally my daughter died, and then 2 months later, I had a massive divorce. The two most traumatic events you can have in your life, I have them literally simultaneously happening to me, and that was I don't even know how to give you a word.
Resilience. You're a resilient woman.
And I remember, I'm like Helen for sure, like the gold thread. I could just know that she was like, Mom, you gotta do this.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, you gotta live your life. You can't give up. You can't give up. And but the scar isn't always a bad scar.
Oh, that's good.
And that's the thing is I choose that I will find joy. I will find happiness. I will live because it's just what I'm called to do. God has a plan for my life too. And obviously this plan, he knew this from the beginning. So he's like, I have greater plans for you. I mean, and they're revealed and I trust. And some days I'm like, whew.
I made it.
I'm on the other side. Sometimes it's just like, wow. And I say to people grieving or who've recently lost children, you know, I don't go up and talk to them immediately about this kind of stuff. I usually let them seek me out because you're not ready to hear a lot of things for a while, but when you are, they will seek out the people that can help or somebody that might have some knowledge. And I'm like, if you're going to do the grief journey, I've said, you can't go around it, you can't go under it, you have to go through it.
Oh, that's a good
And
word.
brutal
Good
as
word.
it is, you cannot avoid the feelings and the emotions and
Stages.
you can't. It will. You won't feel good inside. It won't be okay. I can't imagine because I was like, all right, I'm going to go directly through it. That was my path I chose, and getting a grief counselor who specializes in grief because there is a difference. And I commend everyone who I love all of the people, which is my grief counselor and another couple of counselors I've had that have helped me along the way because, it helped a lot. It helped my other two children. We all did some counseling, grief counseling together. Um, that's, that's Helen. Yeah, we were at the point where we were talking about what Helen taught me, and that's when I couldn't hear you.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I like both
And
subjects.
I would
We
say
pop
Helen
in,
taught
Jane, and Jamie, Jane and I pop in. We have a question, but go on. You tell us about that. What did she teach you?
While she was here on Earth and alive, walking amongst us, she taught me to be a good listener because she was, like I said, she was a handful. She taught me to be patient, to be a good listener. But her and I are a lot alike, so we kind of butted heads some. We're both very passionate and people, so and theatrical a little, so dramatic.
I went right.
Yeah. She taught me to be a good listener, and she was the one of my three who was always something fun going on. She taught me joy. She taught me, you know, almost like a childlike fun. Like, Mom, it's okay to laugh. Mom, it's okay. We can be silly. So
I like
she taught me. Yeah, and that's something I've tried to, after her passing, get back to is, when you're on guard like I've been for 6 years, and you have all this armor, and you're just trying to you know, some days it's like I've just got to get through this minute, brush my teeth, get out of bed, put my feet on the floor. Boy, I tell you, there were days I never thought I'd laugh again, but she always had me laughing all the time. She had everyone, this whole family. I mean, she was a character, so. And I still can laugh. And her memories, I'm so grateful for the memories and all of, our little conversations we had together. Because her and I spent a lot of time together. We rode horses together. We would go do lots of things together because her oldest sister went off to college, and then her and I came to hang out. We went and got our nails done. We rode, we shopped, we did all the fun stuff. I mean, we fought too, but that's so, I can just see her smile and I can hear her laugh, and it's the best medicine and all of our memories. And I tell people, a lot of my friends, when I hear them fussing with their kids, I'm like, I just look at them. I go, just look at me, and remember what I would give anything to be fussing with Helen or, upset with her because she wore my favorite shoes or something like that. And they take for granted. I mean, a lot of my friends around me that would stop and they would look at me and they would, be like, "You're so right." Like they would. I had a lot of friends who left who could not deal. They thought it was a disease. Like, oh, her child died, my child might get it. I mean, so it's been all kinds of you definitely learn who your foxhole, your close friends are, who loves you, who's going to walk with you through the fire. I mean, and they are few and far between, and I am super, super grateful to my close friends and family because, especially my family, my sister, my cousin, my sister-in-law, I mean, they didn't abandon me. They didn't leave my side. So many people did.
So true, Jamie. I'm gonna let Jane ask some question next, but I spend a lot of time. I can't wear the mask real well. Father wants the mask on and for a mask, and went out late, and I came in early, and I spent some time in our church. We had the Blessed Mother, and I don't pronounce it correctly with my New York accent, but the Pieta, where Mother Mary is holding her son. And one lady walked down. I go, I can't wear the mask. I'm here with Mary. I'm going to tell you this. I said, how hard it is to lose a child. Mary was there at the cross. And see, she's holding her child, and he died. It's a very difficult walk. And I was thinking about you because the show was today, and that was yesterday. And I thought, nothing more hard in life to go through than watching your child be gone to heaven way too soon. And I was thinking about how in life we do have friends, and they're all like, hey, I love you, hey, you're my friend. And then when we go through the fire, because I've gone through a ton of fire in my life, I'm sure Jaden has too, we go through a ton of trials when you're close to the Lord, and we say, where were those friends? And you have to just almost say, okay, who are the friends? Like you said, the foxhole. I said, who could stand at the cross with me? Jane, very few can stand. Those who have walked the cross are more apt to not abandon you during the cross, but everyone can't stand the cross. It's a gift from God to walk through a fire. Mother Teresa says this, when I'm at the cross, I'm close enough to kiss you, Jesus. And that's what we do, what you did, cling to Jesus. So, Jan, do you have a question about stand at the cross or anything you want to say? Because we're adding you on. Here you go. And that's the wrong Jan. Oh, here we go. There we go, Jamie. Jan. There you are. Hello.
I just want to say, I do remember, the time when you called and you were like, Jan, please tell me this is right after we had talked about, after Mom had called me and told me about the news. It was like, Jan, please tell me that God has a plan for my life,
That's
and
right.
do not quit telling me that from
That's
from
right.
here on out. That's what you had told me.
Oh,
That's out of Jeremiah 29. I think it's still out of Jeremiah 29.
the plans I've
It's
heard.
about the plans I have for you, says the Lord. It's the plans to prosper you and not harm you. And so I just, and here we are at this day.
That's right.
And I'm like, how good God is to bring you where you are today. That, like you said, first of all, you're not a drug addict, you're not an alcoholic, and you went through two major traumas simultaneously. I mean, we buried Helen, and then 12 days later, you're getting served papers.
God bless you.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
a hard
so
thing.
for divorce.
That's a hard thing.
So, going to that, and so I'm going to kind of bring this around to the part of the gold thread.
Okay.
That when she wrote the book, and I had to read the book, and because I'm very close to the situation, of course, but I had to read the book in about a 3-day span because I could only read a couple of chapters at a time. Because let me tell you something, the book is incredible. You really feel like you're right there by her side, like you are walking through the fire with her. It was so well done, and so I just want to say, if you're walking through this, if you know of someone who's walking through this, or if you know a parent or even a child that has an opioid situation going on, get this book. This book is incredible, and there's so much hope in this book, and I just really feel like the way you wrote the book, it's like, because I lived in Georgia and she lived in Missouri, so I was not there with her 24/7. But when you read this book, you are walking side by side with her every step of the way, and that's what I think brings so much healing as well. Just the words, and she has beautiful prayers, and we're hoping that soon she's going to have a grief devotional coming soon as well.
Great.
But she has beautiful prayers because Jamie's a writer, and she's a beautiful writer, and things they just come quickly to her. It's a gift God's given her, and the prayers in there that she wrote about Helen are beautiful as well. And I just think that that it's just, I'm just saying, you got to have the book. You got to have the book because, and I think, from a perspective also, from just someone, if you know of someone who's going through this or has recently been through this, just to read the book gives you understanding about, from a parent's perspective, or maybe even, I don't know. There's so many different ways that this book brings healing.
Thank you.
And help.
Jane, what do you think? What do you think? How could they get the book, and how can they reach you? I don't know we're going to end, but Jan's going to give you the heads up when we're close to finish. But how can they get the book, and how can they reach you if they have any questions or
So,
concerns?
yes, you can get the book on Amazon, and it's Gaining an Angel by Jammie Fabick. Also, I have a website, jammiefabick.com, and it also has a link to go get the book. Um, the book was a huge part of healing, and so many people have commented about the prayers. And I would wake up every day in the first few years and just write a prayer, because that's all I knew to. That's what felt right. It's the way that it would bring some sort of peace. Like, I would just write a prayer. It could have been 2 sentences, might have been 10 sentences. I don't know. I mean, it just whatever. I just felt led to do that because it just was the only thing I could. I don't know. Felt peaceful. But yes, the book is very powerful, and I know the story. So many people out there lost children all different ways, and I've been with a lot of other moms who've lost children in other ways other than just accidental overdose. I've met moms who had children that were murdered, car accidents, cancers, lots of, and we all were always so glad to finally be together because we're like, oh, we feel normal. We feel we can say the crazy stuff because, like, whatever came into our heads. I spent weekends with these women, and I felt for a long time you don't feel normal. I don't know what that term normal even means, but people stare at you. And I lived in a community where everybody knew us, so I felt like I was such in a fishbowl, and people would stare. People would say things. There were lots of terrible stories. People were making up lies about how she died. All of those kinds of things. So, being around other moms, I'm telling you, moms, we're warriors. I mean, we are strong. If you meet, and if you're privileged to talk with a mom who's lost a child, even losing a close loved one, but it's a warrior situation. I mean, there's some incredible. I learned a lot of incredible, and felt lots of incredible amounts of encouragement and love. And we all don't see each other because I've moved, they've moved, but we all talk on Facebook, and we have a private group. And I encourage so many people, moms and dads. That's a whole other book that I really want to talk about, is dads who lose children. There's no platform in this world for these poor men, and I mean, where's their voice? Like, it's again, whole other book that I feel like needs to be talked about, are dads losing children, because people just push them to the side. I mean, they feel it too. So, but I encourage a lot of any mom who's lost a child. There's so many great groups, even on Facebook, private groups, just somewhere you can go to spill out your feelings, and you will be met with love, support, compassion. I've had people reach out to me on Facebook because I have a Facebook page, Jammie Fabick. You can reach out to me on Facebook. I've called people; they've called me. That's just, I feel that my purpose is to try to help, try to inspire, and try to give hope, because it is it is scary. And there are days still that I'm like, oh my gosh, how, and I'll call Janie, and still to this day, I'll be like, okay, remind me, God has a purpose. I will. I'll say, like, you got to give me, I gotta have a song.
Yeah, so that's that scripture she read. The end of it goes like this: I promise you a future full of hope. And see, you should walk through the fire. I put your name down, Jamie, because it's me, and I put down Jammie Fabick. And I said, that's not right. I looked again on Jan's, I bad eyesight, and I go, it's Fabick. But the thing is, and truly, a brick was thrown right at your heart. A brick, like that's what I was saying. I'll turn it off. It's a brick at your heart. Two fires that you didn't see coming. We never see a trial coming. God kind of shields our eyes so that we don't be afraid to take his hand. But however, the brick that was given to you, you worked it out for the good with God's help. God will work all things together for good for those who love him. And you did. Me, when I went through my trial of losing my baby, people would say scripture, like you asked Jan to speak the word of God to you, and I would go like, sure, they are walking through this. Sure, anything said, no matter what they said, it didn't help me. And I just commend you, Jamie, that you were like open to, your heart was open to God, and you were saying, please feed me the word of God. Please tell me it's gonna be all right. I was, in other words, I had 7 children living. It was my 8th baby that passed away. And I just closed in a little bit more than you did. So I do commend you, and Jana, I commend you because you were able to. This is your sister. It's hard enough when it's just a friend or you meet someone along the street, but you were able to speak the word of God to her. So thank you for that witness, Jan. What do you want to say?
I just want to read one of the prayers.
Okay, that'd be great.
To give you a little taste of some of this, and this was in the book, and it's it says Psalm 139. Can y'all hear me? The road ahead. Lord, you are the one who truly knows me. You know what lies within my heart and should. You know my every thought and word, every feeling and emotion. You walk before me and behind me, protecting me in an everlasting devotion. Where can I hide from your light? Anywhere and everywhere do you shine. In the pure joy of my life you remain. Whether in the dark or the light, you guide me, holding my hand fast in your own. If I ever try to hide from you in the darkest of the night, your light will still shine on for me, and for the dark is the day to you. And that was in scripture, like in her book, but also all throughout, scattered throughout, she does have a lot of prayers and a lot of things, because this book is it's the journey that she's been walking, and you will be side by side with her.
Thank you so much.
And begin to understand, and you will come out with hope, because she also in the book, which I really like, is that she not only walks you through the pain, but she also gives you all throughout the things that she did that helped her, that were tangible for her, for just getting out of bed every day, and just what she thought about that and what she did. So there's very tangible things that helped her along the way, scattered through the whole book, which I really liked.
Wow. Jammie, I think that is what makes you such a powerful witness to help be a healing hand of Christ to the other people you meet along the way. Is you have journeyed it. You weren't just like, I'm fine, I'm good, because that's not the truth. I mean, it's that God has to make us real. You know, The Velveteen Rabbit's one of my favorite books to read to children, because throughout the book he gets a little rubbed off, and then his nose is, well, I could lose it all myself, but the thing is, it just makes you real, and God can't make us real by just. First, he blesses us, I always says, and then he breaks us, because he allows us to be, we're going to face those things in life anyways, but we have, as we get closer to him, we reach out to him in a crisis, and then he uses us. So, Jammie, what do you think that during the time of cross, many people just want to go like, I'm good, and they don't even want to cry in front of people, because they want to say, I'm good, and I'm not crying, she's in heaven, or whatever. But truly, we lost a child. That's something you want to weep tears in form of prayers, saying, Lord, I can't even speak. Sometimes in a crisis, we can't even say the words of prayer. We just sit there and say, hold me, Jesus, I know you love me. So, Jammie, you're on.
The day, I remember people would say to me, they come up, and I think one of the things I never would say to someone who just, who lost a child, oh, how are you? Well, how do you think I'm doing? I was pretty honest. Like, I also would not enter situations when I was not comfortable. If I would not entertain anybody who I felt was not showing compassion or any kind of understanding to me. I wouldn't even talk to them, because that, and I heard things like, oh, well, she's in heaven and she's doing a bit better, and, she's on the other side and you'll be fine. And I was just like, you have to just kind of tune it out. I was very much, I'm emotion. I show the emotion. I encourage people to show the emotion, because if you don't, trauma gets trapped in the body.
That's right.
You trap it. What's the use? I mean, tell people, you know what? Yeah, it sucks. I miss her every day. I was very honest and not denying it. People who I see, world's fine, everything, life moves on, life goes on, everything's gonna be just great. I'm like, That wasn't me. I was not that person because, yeah, life does go on, but I wasn't great. I was a mess inside. My insides have been ripped out, poured out everywhere, and I would just say, for this minute, I'm okay, and one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Sometimes there was 1 second at a time. That's all I can say about that. I mean, and I would, I really, 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 during this time, really got close to Mother Mary, because I was like, she lost a child, she gets it. And I would, I would say, okay, well, I, then I can do, I'm blessed. Like I'm gonna be protected. She was so, I can tell you, I spent a lot of time just, a lot of Hail Mary, or even just looking at the statue of Mary holding, because I was like, that's me. Not that I'm her, but she lost a child.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, she's amazing. I'm going to be okay. And I say this to people because they say, oh, well, 6 years later, you must be over it or whatever. Grief doesn't work like that. Grief is never in a straight line.
That's good.
And it can, you can take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And I can remember a time when I was far, far, far. I had traveled far, far, far away. I was super far away from the States. Because I thought, well, if I traveled, I could get away from it. Well, that didn't work either.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the most beautiful place, the most beautiful island, the most beautiful water, and I had never felt more alone in my entire life. I could be in crowds of people and feel so alone. That is real. And not knowing, I mean, I just like so alone. Like I was standing there by myself, and I remember that. And that was a very, very, very crazy feeling, because I'd kind of pushed my family away a little bit. Like at first, some of the holidays I couldn't be around all of my family because it was hard for me, because it was obvious who was missing. And I remember at that moment thinking, oh my gosh, I miss my family. Like when I could be near them, I didn't feel near as alone. So golly, maybe I should write a book on just certain lessons I've learned. I mean, there's a million lessons. I mean, I could write 50 a day that I've learned after the death of a child. I mean, and appreciate all the small things, and always telling people you love that you love them. Reaching out to other people that might be hurting, even a smile to someone that could change their day. I had that happen. Just someone smiling at me was like life changing. And I've learned that, and a lot of compassion, and you just never know what someone's going through. I always see them through the eyes with love and compassion.
Oh, that's so good. Shannon, what do you think? Aren't you so proud of her?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, every day. I mean, whenever I'm talking to her, I'm always encouraged. I'm like, do you see? Like, do you really see how far you've come? Do you really see that you're walking? Like, you're a walking saint.
It's so encouraging. I know this word is going to help a lot of people. We all have a calling in our life to do something, and we all want to do something great. We meet Jesus, and we go like, I'm in, Jesus. What do I do? Do I just heal the sick? No, we walk the journey. We do the journey.
Yeah.
It's one day at a time. It's one step. I like her 1 minute at a time. We don't say, Lord, I give you my life. And then we say, whoa, wait a minute. Not that, please. No, you're picking the wrong guy. God picks the people, and then he sends them on a journey and equips them. And then they listen, like she said, they learn, and then they lead others. She's listened to the Lord during this time, and then she's learned along the way, and now she's leading others. So if you're that person out there that's listening to our YouTube channel or listening to us on SoundCloud, because I probably put on that as well, I want you to know that someone is there that cares. Jesus Christ, he loves you, and he loves you so much that he's gonna see you through this. It's not gonna be a magic wand that goes presto chango. No. It just vanished. You're better now. You're all good. No, to be real in Christ, be an authentic witness, you have to take his hand each day. What does his hand look like? It's a nail-scarred hand that he suffered greatly for us. He took away our sins because of the path he chose by saying yes to the Father. Yes, I surrender all. Very hard to do. Once you've done one trial, you go like, the next one be easy? No. Walking on the cross of Jesus like he did, following his footsteps, never is easy. So we're going to have to give our last word. We probably went way long, Jan, but I never look at the clock, mostly because I'm blind. But I'm going to let you go first, Jan, because you're used to this, then Jamie, then me, and we're going to close it off. But please, after you say your last word, tell how to get a hold of you. I know they're going to want to talk to both y'all. Here we go. Jane Ann, you're on.
Okay, you can reach me at www.dimeadozenmom.com. And I just say, please get the book. If you know of anybody that's going through any of these things, please just get the book. I'll recommend the book. Go to her website, check it out, because it truly is life-changing.
And Jamie, you want to say how to get a hold of you, Jane Ann, or later? You want to say how to get a hold of you?
I already did www.dimeadozenmom.com. That's where you can reach me. And my Gmail, I have a Gmail account. That's the same as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you all both for sharing. Jamie, you're on, and we finally got the show done. Yay!
Yeah, thank you. We all, it's always learning. We're always learning. I have to say, I just want everyone to know that it's going through any of this, you're not alone. You don't need to do this alone. So many people, and prayer and faith and people that love and the people will show compassion. Just please don't sit in silence and do this and want to be alone and think you're alone. And they can get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook, Jammie Fabick, and they'll see Gaining an Angel, my name of my book, and also my email, which is jammiefabick@yahoo.com. That's just one of them. And on Instagram, Jammie Fabick. So they'll always be able to find me through my book, Gaining an Angel. And it's on Amazon, Gaining an Angel by Jammie Fabick. And I truly, I always have said in my, I've done a lot of other things with this. If I feel just one person, I help one person, that I did what I was supposed to, what God led me to do, that's how I feel about it. And hope. Wishing everybody hope, and that's my word. It's just so funny, right? When you started the show and you said just a word, I was like, hope.
That's right. That's right.
So,
hope helps your faith to float. We said that last week, but Jamie's a very genuine woman of God. I mean, she suffered greatly, but then she didn't rise up and say, now I'm better. She took the journey with Jesus each day. She continues every day to take it, and don't take it alone. Here's some of the things she said. She went to a grief counselor. She brought her children. She didn't just say, poor me, and this is horrible, because sometimes trials are just so much you can't explain them. And the bishop told her, by the way, we don't try to find the answer. We just have to see. When we get to heaven one day, we'll understand more than we do now. But if you have someone that's walking this path, please mention Jamie's book. Let them get in contact with her. And please buy the book yourself, because the thing is, they don't want to do the journey alone. Jesus sends people. See, he sends people with skin on. Like when Moses was failing in his endurance, he sent Caleb and Joshua, a person on either side. Like we said last week, Jan, find your tribe, right? Find your tribe so that the trial comes knock on your door. You call on Jesus and he sends the people. So Jan, thank you for joining me. There's Jane Ann. Thank you for joining me on the show. I really did love it. I learned a lot every show. So thank you for bringing a guest. And I like your microphone. Hold it up one time. Helen will never be forgotten, because she's leaving the thread even now the gold thread. Why gold? Because it's spun by the hand of God. We're going to walk on those streets of gold one day, and it's going to be a time of rejoicing, remembering who led us along, who left a seed in our life that we planted and grew. So, Jamie, thank you for being our guest. I try to push this on. I'm still on electronic challenge. Thank you. And there's both of them right there, the twin sisters. May God bless you, and may you keep her message alive. And I encourage you to write a book, Jamie. But I was talking to Jan Shona, and said she should have a movie. I'm serious. You should have a movie.
No.
I know there's a movie, Fireproof and Face the Giants. I just want to put a shout out to is it the Wright brothers? I think that's what they're called, out there in Georgia. Y'all are Georgia girls. Oh, right now you are, Jane, but Alabama girls. But we want to say that I hope it will be a movie one day. You know, there's something that happens in visual. Like I see y'all. We could have done the whole show on audio. Something that happens that they see the face of a mother who has a mother's heart and mourned the loss of her child. It's different than just like if it's on the phone, you know?
Right.
So I just encourage you to try to seek God. Maybe He opens the door for a movie. And I thank you again. And this is Wow Mom. It's women of wisdom who have walked a path and have the blisters, right? The blisters to prove it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And without blisters, you just have a cute pair of shoes, you know? It's different. So I'm going to go on to say, well, bye, y'all. If I can turn this off occasionally here, I can do it well.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Ellen Mongan closing us off on, I got lost again. This is Jamie. I can't even get me. Let's see. I'm closing off on Wow Mom. You know, we never know what the show's going to be like. Sometimes it's joy-filled, happy. Last week, hope. And this week, you had to bring the Kleenex. I meant to mention to y'all, bring the Kleenex. That was in the show notes. I hope you did. You probably figured that one out because there's nothing funny or amusing or joy-filled about losing a child. It's after you walk the journey that you begin to learn things like treasure the moment. Be thankful. Don't ever look back. Look forward and take that hand of Jesus. When you have a trial, run to the Adoration Chapel. Run to Mass. Seek out the face of God. New things are going to happen. He's going to make you smile again. He'll bring back that laughter. Helen told us so. So thank you for joining us at Wow Mom, and I'm closing off now, and I do really appreciate the show. Look, I'm even going to put the glasses on because this is a new venue we're using, and I actually want to say goodbye.